Yeah, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Drive for Show, DFS for Dough here on RotoGrinders. One more show for you here during the FedEx Cup playoffs for the BMW Championship. We've got 50 golfers in the field this week. That will be trimmed to 30 for the Tour Championship next week. Coming off a pretty interesting week last week at the FedEx St. Jude for the first playoff event. With 70 golfers in it, and Lucas Glover, back-to-back wins, really impressive for him. You know, basically the newfound putting confidence and putting stroke has put him over the top and got him another victory, and now has him squarely in amongst the Ricky Fowler, Colin Morikawa, Cameron Young, Justin Thomas Ryder Cup discussion for the U.S. team. Which people probably would have laughed at a few weeks ago. But we'll talk about that here briefly at the start of the show. I am Justin Van Zuiden, STL Cardinals 84. I've got Mr. Notorious, Derek Farnsworth alongside. And Noto, I didn't see that coming. Another W for Lucas Glover, and, just pretty impressive run he's on here.
Yeah, we don't see back-to-back wins on the PGA Tour very often, especially not from guys that, were outside of the 100 in the FedEx Cup rankings most of the season. So I actually have that putter, and I can say it has not had the same results for me on the greens. I don't have the broomstick version, but I have the little Tesla truck-looking lab putter that the Glover has, and it's done wonders for his game. You know, he's one of those guys that's, been grinding for a long time. So it's good to see, but I did not see it coming myself.
Yeah, I didn't either. And he held off a charge from a pretty loaded leaderboard there. Of course, ended up defeating Patrick Cantlay, who was tied with him there at 15 under. And then Rory made a charge on Sunday, finished one back at 14 under. Fleetwood was also 14 under. Coming up just short for what seems like about the 20th time this year. But it wasn't the, the slightest of golfers chasing him. It was top-end guys on the PGA Tour. So impressive for Glover to be able to hold them off. All social media wanted to talk about during the back nine was his pants. Lucas pretty much sweated through the backside of his pants there on Sunday. He probably won't wear those again in Memphis in August, I wouldn't think. He's got to get the shorts like Tom Kim had, basically, the long shorts out there. But I know it was hot and humid, especially after those storms.
Yeah, my favorite was that his pants looked like the bag of fries from Five Guys with the tan, with the oil soaking through. I thought that was pretty good.
That sounds pretty good right now, if you ask me.
Yeah, I was watching, we had a little birthday party for my nephew, and there were like 40 people there, and every single one of them had to comment on his pants on the TV. So I'm sure it was that all across America watching that. But yeah, it was a fun Sunday. I kind of thought Rory was going to make a charge, or, I knew Tommy wasn't going to do it. I knew he would break everyone's heart once again. Luckily, I didn't bet him last week. I learned my lesson. I played him in DFS instead. So I was happy with the T3.
We talked about this with Finau for years, and then he finally broke through. It's going to happen with Fleetwood sometime. It's just,
I don't think it is.
It's just taken about as long. So now what, you got, and I was looking at this morning, you've got Cam Young, Morikawa, Fowler, JT, Lucas Glover. I probably missed a couple in there. But Sam Burns, does Glover make the Ryder Cup team now?
I don't know. Every time we think it's going to be one person, somebody else just pops up. And, we didn't really see Brian Harmon, popping up there a few weeks back. And now look at him. So I'm not sure. I still think one of these big names, Finau, Burns, Cam Young, if they come out and win one of the next two events, I think they're going to be in Morikawa. But Glover certainly is going to deserve consideration given how bad everyone else is playing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Good problem to have, of course, for the U.S. team. That'll be coming down in a couple of weeks. But we've got two playoff events to get to before that. Any other takeaways? Obviously, we didn't have a cut last week. So, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff to talk about. A disappointing week for Wyndham Clark, Tony Finau, Matt Fitzpatrick. I was on the bounce back wagon for Denny McCarthy last week. He finished dead last, so that did not work out. But so a few of the top end guys disappointed. But what do you make of last week's tournament? Anything else for takeaways?
Yeah, Wyndham Clark was bad. Denny McCarthy, career worst putting week. Justin Rose was pretty awesome after Thursday. He was +6 and then finished 13 under the rest of the way. I think he shot 9 under on Saturday. And then my final note, Colin Morikawa, T13 on a week that I picked him. I think that's trending in the right direction.
It's as good as it gets.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. He was like T2 after day one, and I got my hopes up there for a minute.
Yeah, solid week for him, of course, and we've got the top 50 hanging in there for this week at the BMW Championship, which will be held at Olympia Fields in the Chicagoland area. And they so be careful with the course history. This event has bounced around over the years. So if you look at the last time it was held here was in 2020, and John Rahm was your winner in a playoff at 4 under par in a U.S. Open style tournament. Even par was 6th place. You had, and it was 70 golfers at that time with the playoff format. Mark Leishman shot +30 in that tournament, and we had more than 20 golfers double digits over par. You simply don't see that on the PGA Tour these days. So, I mean, Olympia Fields is no pushover. Very tough par 70 course. I don't remember, if I don't think there was extreme weather that week, at least from what I can recall. But 4 under par winning score, you don't see that very often. So, what do we think for the course this week?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'll never forget that week because I believe the week before was when Dustin Johnson won at like 30 under par, beat out Harris English, and then everyone was saying this is going to be another birdie fest. Typically, the BMW Championship is set up pretty easy, and it was anything but. Only 5 guys under par. You mentioned some of the stats. I mean, that Leishman stat's awesome, 30 over. Yeah, if it's a tough course and no cut events, you get some massive scores, which can be tough if you're playing DFS and you have dead lineups just sitting there. But yeah, it should be a difficult course. It's a par 70, nearly 7,400 yards, so extremely long for a par 70. It was the 4th most difficult course the year that they played it. The green, 6,000 square feet. They're a mix of bent and POA if you want to look at those type of splits. And tree line course, the par 5s are long, both over 600 yards. The par 4s are long, 7 of them over 450 yards. And it should just be difficult. I will note that they did make the course easier every round. So Thursday was the toughest, then Friday, then Saturday, then Sunday. I think they just started watering it a little bit more. And typically we see an easier setup for the BMW. So maybe they'll, water it a little bit more this time around, and it'll play a little bit easier. But I'm excited. I like challenging courses, and I do think we're going to see, one of the elites win this week. I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I had a cough and I didn't want to do it in the mic. But Leishman, 4 birdies, 32 bogeys or doubles in that 4 rounds. 4 birdies, 2 birdie-free rounds. That is not great, Bob. But I don't think and it's really interesting. You mentioned them kind of making it easier each round. For what it's worth, we also did have a ton of rain go through this area today. In fact, it kind of just stopped pouring here at my place right before we came on the air, and it's done that like 3 or 4 times today. So maybe a little bit softer, and I mean, it certainly will probably play easier on the whole than it did 3 years ago. But no pushover, no 30 under winning score type of course this week. Like you said, just going to be difficult. So.
Yeah, one final note. The guys that finished top 5 in greens and regulation, 4 of them finished in the top 6. So if you hit greens, you were looking pretty good. Everything else kind of didn't matter as much.
All right, anything else on the course, tournament, the setup before we dig in?
Well, let's get into it. 50 golfers, and we got the 5,500 price tag back on DraftKings.
Yeah, which is they started that I can't remember what the first week was. We saw that. Was it one of the majors?
I think it was the Open.
Yeah. And we got it back this week, which is and it's interesting because, like, you know, everybody that's left is pretty good, or has been playing somewhat well, or else they wouldn't be in the top 50. So even the 5,500 guys are, you know, they're not pushovers like you would normally see in the 5K price tag. So, and we also have a little bit more at the top this week. We've got 7 golfers in the 5 figures for salary on DraftKings. Rory McIlroy has overtaken Scotty Scheffler for the top spot, with his last 5 events all being top 7 finishes. Scheffler is faded just a bit by his standards, with the T23 and then a T31 in his last start. Then we've got Rahm there, third on the list, another guy who struggled for a couple rounds last week. And then Cantlay, who made a charge near the top, and then Victor Hovland and Xander and Spieth also rounding out the 10K plus price point this week. And with playable guys at the bottom, I mean, do you want to prioritize somebody from this top group here?
Yeah, I think I will. Unlike last week, we've seen a lot of winners that weren't necessarily elite golfers at that event. And I do think we're going to see one of the big guys win this week, especially if it's difficult. We saw Jon Rahm, win here over DJ. So 2 of the best in the field at the time in 2020. And Rory and Scheffler both switched putters last week. It worked for Rory. He gained 1.4 strokes putting. It did not work for Scheffler. Surprise, surprise. I think he lost 3 strokes putting last week. But if putting's not going to be as important, if you're gonna have to rely on your tee to green game a little bit more if the scoring is difficult, then I do think Scheffler is viable. I'll probably be starting my lineups with one or the other. Probably have a lot of both. No major edge one way or another. I do think Rory's been a little better form. T9 or better in 8 straight. That's pretty impressive. And then I don't know what to do with Rahm. I don't like him as much, but obviously it's hard to ignore the win. So how do you prioritize those 3?
Yeah, I like Rahm this week, and it's a little bit of a feel call. He was second at the Open, then we didn't see him for a few weeks, and he didn't start well last week, kind of like Justin Rose. But the 3 finishing rounds, 67, 67, 68. He still made 19 birdies last week. I tend to like Rahm a little bit more on these harder courses, and obviously he won here in 2020 with that 4-under score. So in our early pass at projected ownership that came up right before we came on the air, I believe Rahm was one of the lowest of these at least the top 4. I think he was for sure the lowest. But, you're obviously not doing it wrong if you're playing McIlroy or Scheffler. But when you consider the ownership and the course fit, I think I like Rahm here.
Yeah, I don't mind that one bit. It's hard to go wrong with any of them. Are you going to start every lineup with one of those 3, you think? You can probably fit 2 of them if you want to.
Yeah, I think so. Just because there's no cut and the guys at the bottom are certainly playable. And there's just no reason not to, I don't think. Like the full balanced lineup where you're starting with like an 889 or 9K player, I just don't like the way those look as much this week. To where I think, stars and scrubs makes a little bit more sense. And on the harder courses, you tend to see these elite golfers rise to the top a little more often. So, yeah, I think I'm starting with, throw Cantlay in there maybe and make it to top 4, but one of those guys in every lineup probably.
Not starting with 10K Spieth?
No. Well, of course, it's funny because after Spieth shot that 63 on Thursday and was in the lead, if I'm just flipping through or whatever, and I see the golf leaderboards, and they said on Golf Channel or something, Spieth leads after Thursday, and my wife looks at me and says, "That's probably not good, is it?" so
at least she knows you. That's good.
She knows. I'm getting too predictable. I gotta change it up. But so I'm not gonna beat the drum against Spieth this week. Played pretty well last week, faded just a bit on the weekend, but still another top 10 for him. But I'll probably go. I like Rahm the most. Hard to ignore Rory. Hard to ignore Cantlay. Feels like a tournament where Xander could come out to play. You just it's hard to ignore these top guys this week.
Yeah, my favorite Spieth moment from last week. He was about to hit, and he looks over at Greller and says, "Are you sure this won't go long?"
Yes.
Greller, yeah, I'm sure goes along, and he just stares him down the rest of the walk up to the green.
I mean, he hit a bad shot, so it's if you pull it, it's gonna go a little longer. Anyway, Spieth doing Jordan Spieth things. Any other thoughts on these top guys for you?
I do like Cantlay. He's already won 2 BMW Championships. He's won 3 events in the last 2 playoffs and nearly won last week. So I think he makes a lot of sense. I also like Hovland. He's been like one of the best around the green over the last 3 months or so. I wasn't buying it at the start when we started to see positive numbers around the green, but he's been able to sustain it. Xander worries me a little bit just because the driving hasn't been great and his around the green game hasn't been great. I think the average driving accuracy here was 48% in 2020, and then the green regulation was like 60%. So you're gonna have to be chipping a lot this week. So he's probably my least favorite, other than Spieth. I'm not buying Spieth because he lost strokes ball striking. It was all short game, and typically that's not what you want to see from Spieth.
All right, so let's go ahead and move down into the 9K range. We start to get some of the Ryder Cup narratives in here. Morikawa trying to make the Ryder Cup team, Fowler trying to make the Ryder Cup team, Glover winning back-to-back tournaments trying to make the Ryder Cup team. You'll just see some people talking about that. You got to have some narratives this week. It's a smaller field, whatever the case may be, to try to get something to talk about. Morikawa coming off a T13, as Noto mentioned earlier in the show. One of they're building blocks towards success in the future together, which is a good sign for him. Of course, Fleetwood with his solid top 5 equity there at 9,700. You got Homa, Matsuyama, Sungjae in here as well. Pretty wide open range. I mean, I think you can make a case for all these different guys. I really don't think anybody absolutely stands out ahead of the pack. So it'll be interesting to see where ownership goes here. But anybody standing out to you?
Yeah, my favorite's Tyrrell Hatton. I know he didn't play great last week, but he actually gained strokes ball striking. He just couldn't putt or chip. And he's been so consistent all year. It feels like he's a little underpriced. I mean, if you told me Hatton was going to be $100 cheaper than Lucas Glover a few weeks ago and about the same ownership, I wouldn't have believed you. So I won't be going back to Glover. If he burns me again, so be it. But I like Hatton quite a bit at 9K. And then I like Fleetwood. It's hard not to. Top 10s in 4 of his last 5 events, a guy that can gain strokes across the board. He really likes difficult courses too. One of the best in the field in strokes gained per round on tough courses the last few years. And then I'll play some Homa. He's been playing a little bit better, 4 straight top 25s. And I like Hideki. I think he feels a little overpriced, so I think hopefully people will overlook him at 9,400.
I think Sungjae is one of my favorites in this group. If you look at the stats from last week, so Sungjae was 6th in the field in strokes gained tee to green. He gained about almost 6 strokes from tee to green. Was basically neutral with the putter last week. So and did have a T6 finish himself, which is a good sign, I think, after kind of an up and down summer. For Sungjae, T6 and a T14 in his last 2 starts. Don't mind playing some Fowler too, now that the steam has kind of backed off a little bit after his win. I think he'll still be motivated trying to get one of those Ryder Cup spots. And I'm not a guy who plays Fowler often. So that kind of range of Hideki, Im, Fowler, Hatton with you on not playing Glover this week. So I think if you start a lineup with like one of the 11K-ish guys, you can probably get, a 9K guy in there, or maybe even 2 if you're going punting at the bottom of the board. So I like that 9K to 9,400 range a good bit this week myself.
Yeah, Sungjae, best ball striking since April, I think, last week. So I like that call.
It's at least a step in the right direction for sure. And then as we get down into the 8Ks, it gets a little bit interesting. Wyndham Clark had a terrible week last week. Tom Kim, has been struggling with injury, but did look healthy last week. I think that's enough for me to be interested in Tom Kim at 8,700. Everybody was talking about the pants, but as long as he's healthy and good to go, I think he's an interesting tournament play. You also have Jason Day in here who struggled last week. Finau, Burns, a lot of these guys haven't been at their tip-top form. Harmon, after winning the Open, was basically middle of the pack last week as well. So just a lot of guys in here that have been up and down. Cam Young, he's been up and down all summer. So there's some risk, maybe some potential, top 5 upside with some of these guys, but certainly more risk than what you get with the 9K and up golfers. Who you liking in here?
I got to go back to Clark. I mean, he was one of the most popular golfers of the week last week. And some of these no-cut events just kind of, I don't know. It's hard to trust the numbers that we saw. I mean, he got off to such a bad start. It's hard for him to really, be motivated. He lost 11.5 strokes ball striking. If he would have missed the cut, that number would have been cut in half and it wouldn't look as bad. So I don't mind going back to Clark. It looks like his ownership's 5%. I'll take that if that holds. I also like Cam Young. We've seen this be a very driver-heavy course, and 2 of the best drivers in the world met up in a playoff here in 2020, and DJ and Rahm. And he's flashed some upside recently. He's been very hit or miss, but when he's in the mix, he tends to top 10. So those are my favorites. Don't mind going to Finau too. He's still got the motivation. He was terrible last week, lost 8 strokes putting, but still gained with the ball striking. So if he can just have one decent week with the putter, I say that about all the guys that I like, and it never works. But he was a good putter at one point, like a year ago.
He's changing, makeup with Lucas Glover or something with the putter. So yeah, I was on Finau last week as well. That didn't work. Hard to ignore him when he's priced like at the average spend you have per golfer. But I'm probably not going to have as much exposure to this range. Again, trying to prioritize the top. I like a lot of those guys at the bottom end of the 9K range. And the 8Ks, I like Tom Kim in GPPs. I don't mind Clark in GPPs. I always take some Finau. But nobody, I think, that is an absolute guy you have to click in here. So with that, we can go ahead and move down into the 7K range. We've got Cam Davis leading off this tier along with Justin Rose. Noto mentioned Rose made a pretty good comeback last week after a horrible first round. Cam Davis now has 3 consecutive top 10s, T10, T7, T6 in his last 3 starts. Siwoo Kim had good ball striking, good tee to green numbers last week at 7,600. Benny An has continued his solid form here throughout the summer. Faded a bit on Sunday last week, but still finished kind of middle of the pack. So these guys I don't think are that much worse than the 8K options. And you can save a little bit of salary here as well. Poston's a guy I've been playing. He faded a bit on the weekend last week as well. But these guys I think are all, if you want to play the form angle, you got Cam Davis, you got Benny An. If you want to play last week's stats, you've got Siwoo Kim's tee to green numbers in there. Grillo's been striking it pretty well also. So anybody you like in particular in the 7Ks?
Yeah, pretty strong range, and it looks like everyone's going to be garnering between 11 and 20% ownership. I think Benny On's my favorite. I was looking at his numbers today. He's gained around the green in 15 straight, which is really hard to do, and he's gained off the tee in 11 straight, and I think those are 2 of the metrics that I like the most this week. And he's been playing great, and he finished T12 here in 2020, so he's really good play at 7,500. I like Rose again. My fade is going to be Cam Davis. I know he's playing great, but I was looking at his numbers as well, and he's been his best on Bermuda courses, and he's been his best on easier courses. This is not Bermuda, and this is not expected to be an easy course. So I think he's going to be my fade in the range. I don't feel great about it, but I want to make a stand on a couple of these guys.
Yeah, I don't mind that call as well. I think if you take a stand on somebody, and an easy week to not narrow down your player pool at all. And I know everybody does it differently, and I'm pretty vocal that I always narrow down my player pool pretty tight. But if you have trouble narrowing down your player pool, this is a week where you should at least be able to practice getting it down a little bit, because you don't want to play 45 guys out of 50. So you gotta
play everyone.
You gotta cut 10% of everybody. You've got to to make some cuts somewhere. So I encourage you to try that this week. If you're, building 50, 60 lineups, think critically about the guys you want to play and don't want to play. Let's see. That takes us down into the 6Ks. I tried the Denny McCarthy bounce back train last week. That was a disaster. I mean, I don't know. Is like certainly he's not going to putt like that again. But I don't know if I want to drive this boat 2 weeks in a row into the iceberg. So I'll let you talk about McCarthy if you want to. It doesn't feel like a Brendan Todd course for me. Eric Cole is the one guy. I mean, Cole's just been playing consistent golf all summer. He's 6,300. Svensson's been playing pretty well also. Like, I think I like maybe those two guys the best here in the 6Ks. We've got a few guys trickling down into the 5Ks as well. I played a little Seamus Power last week. That didn't work either. The guys at the bottom are obviously the ones that have struggled a little bit more recently and probably barely hung on to their top 50 spots. But I like Svensson. I like Cole. Jury's still out on McCarthy. I don't mind Hadwin after a pretty decent week last week. But what do you like in the 6Ks?
My favorite on paper is Adam Schenk at 6,500. He's 7 or better in 5 of his last 9 starts, 4.7 strokes ball striking last week. But I do think he's going to be very popular. He's actually been the best of any of these 6K guys on difficult courses other than Denny McCarthy, who I don't mind going back to. I think one of the comp courses for this place is Muirfield Village, and he obviously lost there in a playoff to Hovland earlier this season. Rahm's, been great there. Cantlay's been great there. So I don't mind using that as a comp course. Other than that, I'll have a little bit of Chris Kirk. His irons have been better. Brendan Todd's been good with the irons, but again, a long course for Brendan Todd's usually not great. Yeah, I don't love a lot. We skipped over Keegan. Any interest there? He rates out well for me.
Yeah, I don't mind him. He's in that Ryder Cup discussion as well. Illinois is sort of towards the Northeast where he likes to play pretty well. I think he's a decent enough fit for this course. Did he play here? Was he in 2020?
No, he did not. But Brendan Todd was 8th somehow.
Really interesting. Well, I don't mind Keegan. I probably won't play Todd this week.
Ooh, one other guy, Harris English. He's gained over 12 strokes on approach the last 2 weeks. Everything else has been bad, but usually he's a good driver and good putter. So the irons are good lately, at least.
All right, I don't mind that. I was really interested to do a snake draft tonight because if we do a 6-man snake draft and we each draft 7 golfers, that's 42 golfers. There's only 8 guys that won't be picked, which I think is interesting. Now, for whatever reason, DraftKings does not have a $5 6-man snake draft. Why? I don't know. They've got $10 ones and $20 ones and $50 ones, but there's not a $5 6-man snake draft. So are you okay bumping up to $10 to do a snake draft tonight?
I mean, I've donated enough. I don't think I've cashed in months. Me and you were well at the bottom last week.
We were comfortably dead last and second to last week, which is no surprise because I probably took McCarthy. I probably took Finau. My rosters were not great last week. So if you want to play the snake draft, we'll see if one can fill. We do got to go up to $10 tonight because DraftKings doesn't have any $5 6-mans out there. I think that might have just been a glitch in the matrix this week. But there is a $10 6-man that I just entered, so I'm the first one.
Justin and I will definitely cover the rake.
We'll cover the rake for you. There's 4 remaining spots. 2 of the 4 of you will get paid. So we're in a $10 6-man snake draft on DraftKings, and it is currently 3 out of 6. So come join if you are interested. Let's see. Looks like Tug Rules has joined, who I think I just had it up. One again. He's been doing well in these last few weeks, I think. Let's see. There it is. Yeah, he won. Mr. Gerg was second and barely beat out Brian Yo for that second cash spot. So Mr. Gerg and Tug Rules, I know they've got the cash to enter the $10 version because they took down the tournament last week. So we are currently at 4 out of 6. And we'll get it rolling here and round out the second playoff event. All right. Let's see. If we need to, I'll tweet out a link. Sorry for the dead air for a second. Those of you who aren't interested in the snake draft and obviously don't want to hear us talk about it, we've covered all the golfers for this week. We won't do a show next week with just 30 golfers for the Tour Championship, but we will have you covered with our normal written content over at RotoGrinders. So check us out over at RotoGrinders.com. If you are not a premium subscriber, good week to check us out with football getting ready to start as well, just around the corner. And then we have the break for the Ryder Cup after that. And then we'll get things rolling back up again with the new fall PGA Tour fall schedule. So those of you who are looking to call it a week, thanks for watching. As always, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Check us out at rotogrinders.com. And thanks for watching as always. Those of you sticking around for the snake draft, I am going to tweet out a link right now. $10 is a little too rich, and so I couldn't believe they didn't. I wonder if I can manually create one. I haven't manually created a contest in a long time. Anyway, we're at 4 of 6 on the snake draft, and I'm gonna stay in there for now. Let's see.
I think there was a 4-man $10.
Is there a 4? What the heck? They never have 4-mans. Why is there a 4-man? What is a 4? Okay, now we're at 5. One more person. I really want to see a draft where only 8 guys, like the last guy that doesn't get picked on the playground. 5 of 6. Need one more bold soul to join the draft. Noto, are you ready for football season?
Yep, I'm prepping by watching Hard Knocks. I feel like I'm all ready.
My Ravens won their 24th consecutive preseason game over the weekend. I want them to lose. Like, there's no point in winning all these meaningless games and then losing in the regular season. Lose a game in the preseason every now and then.
We're filled.
All right, Mr. Gerg not joining us tonight, but a lot of familiar names. We got Bob Reeves in the draft. Shout out to him from RotoGrinders. He got the first pick. All right, I will share my screen here. We will get this rolling. All right, we're picking in the middle this week. So 3 for me and 4 for Noto.
So I get one of the big 3. Well, I guess there's big 4. If you want, you get Cantlay probably.
Well, I really like Rahm this week, so either Rory or Scheffler falls to me, or I take Rahm.
Oh, you're 3. I was thinking I was
3.
Okay. I'll take Cantlay.
Yeah. So hopefully, well, I guess I don't really care. If the first 2 go Rory and Scheffler, I'll just take Rahm. So we'll get it started here. Looks in about 40 seconds or so. Oh, I was going to go back and look at my horrible team from last week. Because you're right. We were way back. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Finau 64th, Fowler 58th, Dietrich 61st. Nobody inside the top 15 for me. Nobody inside the top 15 for Noto either. Somehow in a no-cut event, neither of us got the top 15.
14 guys, and we didn't get one in the top 15.
Yeah, you had McCarthy and Clark, who were both tied for DFL, and then Smalley was only 1 stroke better. That was a rough week for the snake draft for Team RG. Oh, it's my turn. All right, well, Rahm went second. I guess I got to take Scheffler. Scheffler hasn't gone third in a snake draft for a long time.
That's true. And so last week, Sky texted me and said, "Hey, FanDuel has Scheffler to win the Tour Championship or the FedEx Cup playoffs at plus 480, and Data Golf has him at like 40% chance to win." So I hopped on there and told him not to send out the tweet, and sent it out, and now it went down to like plus 300. But now it's not looking all that great. He's gonna probably just fall apart again. But
well, it's the weird. I mean, and I haven't kept up with how the like points work for this week. So like, where's he at right now?
I think he's still in the top 4.
So is that updated? Let's see if that's updated. Scheffler or Rahm, Scheffler, Rory, then Glover. And so then after this week, obviously you get a starting position for next week based on where you're at in the standings.
Did you say Rahm, Scheffler, Rory, and Glover?
Yeah.
What a weird.
The top 4 you all expected. Rahm, Scheffler, Rory, Glover, Cantlay, Homa, Hovland, Clark, Harmon, Fleetwood. That's the top 10. All right. I have discovered far too many tabs open. Let's close a few of those just in case.
Yeah, Hatton, Scheffler. I like that start.
Scheffler, Hatton. Wasn't going to take Spieth there. Took Hatton instead. How much disrespect is Lucas Glover going to get?
I'm not taking him with any of my 7 picks.
If Lucas Glover's there in the 7th round, you're not taking him.
Let's all agree not to take the winner this week.
Lucas Glover becomes the guy pouting on the playground because he won back-to-back tournaments. Nobody wants to take Lucas Glover. All right, interesting. I had Fowler on my team last week, and he didn't do anything, so I got to he gets shunned because of that. There you go. You got to take Fowler. He's your boy.
Oh, Cam Young.
Oh, okay. Interesting course for Cam Young. Oh, there goes Lucas Glover. He didn't make it too much farther. Tug Rules, who won last week. He's the smart one. He probably had Glover last week.
He's got Hovland, Homa. I like that start too.
He did have Glover last week. Well, no fault for him then. He's riding the wave.
Yeah, props to anybody that went back to Glover. I just didn't see that happening.
I didn't either. And especially, you kind of felt there on the back 9 on Sunday, like somebody's going to run him down and he's going to miss a 5-footer somewhere that's going to cost him. And
he made so many 20-footers for par.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's always the thing that he never did. Yeah. Missed all those. All right, I'll go with the form with Davis here. Would have taken Finau if you didn't. So we're at the end of round 4, rolling into round 5 here. We've got...
we're going to finish 1-2 this week. Everyone's going to think we're hustling. We up the stakes.
Hustled the $5 week and sandbagged to get the $10 week.
Ask DraftKings not to post the $5 6-man until Tuesday.
We keep doing that though, and we keep losing. We'll be up to the $100 buy-in before too long to try to get our money back. All right, so I like his start there with after the first pick, Rory, Matsuyama, Day, and Rose. Pretty good start from the 1 spot there.
I like his logo, Bob's logo. I need to get that one.
Who got Benny on, and when did Benny on go?
Just barely.
Oh, right before me. Dang it. I was like, I swear I saw him there. Well, both my picks got taken there. I was going to take Finau, and then I was going to take Benny on. Should have taken Benny on the first one that we're through. All right, rounding out round 5 here. Sam Burns, Keegan Bradley, and one more pick. Siwoo Kim goes at the final pick of the round. Okay. Let's see. We've got 14 or 12 picks left here. Poor guys at the bottom. The 8 players that just won't get picked. Taylor Moore's an inch. Oh, there goes Eric Cole. That's a sharp pick. That is a sharp pick. I figured he'd be there in another round yet.
I still don't know where Tigala plays well. Like, what's a good course for Tigala?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't.
Nobody wants Harmon.
Go Shank.
Harmon has become, outside of Glover, the faller of the draft, ranked 25 and still on the board at pick 36. So
he was pretty good after a bad start too.
Yeah. If he gets back to me, if Harmon makes it back to me at 39, I'll take him. But just because I don't think there's anybody else I have to have here with my last pick. Oh, those Svensson intrigues me. I might have to walk that back. Tigala, we'll find out if he plays well. All right, there goes Harmon. That makes my decision a little bit easier then. Assuming. All right, there goes Chris Kirk. I will take Svensson. Ooh, will Noto take Harris English?
Yeah, I was going to go Todd or English. I think I'll go English.
How the mighty have fallen. Denny McCarthy has gone from mega chalk at 9K 2 weeks ago to not even being drafted in the top 42 out of 50.
Will he be the last pick?
Will Gasman make Denny McCarthy the last pick? All signs point to no, but we'll find out.
What about Patrick Rogers, 5,500? We playing him this week?
He's 50th in the standing, so he's on.
Okay.
He's on house money. He's gotta go big or go home. All right, so Brendan.
Probably got to finish in the top 50, and he should be fine.
Well, I think he's 50th in the top 30. Make it.
Oh, top 30.
Right. He was the last guy in, so he's got to. I mean, he's got to go like top 5.
Yeah, easy.
Old rules. We had 70 in this tournament. Everything's all upside down this week. But all right, so Straka, Hadwin, McCarthy, Nick Taylor, Power, Hoagie, Kitayama, Patrick Rogers are the unfortunate players that did not get drafted this week. Noto is already prepping for the Ryder Cup with the Cantley Schauffele, and then Cam Young, Tony Finau. He's got the U.S. Ryder Cup team. Sam Burns, he's got them all. Adam Schenk and Harris English rounding out his roster. Scheffler, Hatton, Tom Kim, Cam Davis, Poston, Grillo, and Svensson for me. And we'll see if we can finish better than last and second to last this week. That's our goal. We're setting the bar real high here.
Speaking of the Ryder Cup, didn't JT say he's going to play somewhere over there?
I don't know. I did not see that.
That'd be fun if he goes out and wins this week.
Yeah, there you go. Put up a statement to plead your case. So yeah, we'll have a couple weeks off. Again, we'll have you covered with content over at RotoGrinders, especially for the Tour Championship. TBD what we throw out for the Ryder Cup, but especially if you're a premium subscriber, we'll make sure we have you covered. And then we'll be back when the fall swing starts at the beginning of September. So we'll see you all in a couple weeks. Thanks to Steve for producing behind the scenes for us. Thanks to Noto for joining me. I'm Justin. Take care and good luck this week, everybody. We'll catch you later.